Should we kick it off?
I think we should kick it off.
All right.
I want to start off by saying thank you to everyone that came on today and joined. We are super excited. AssetHR here is partnered with Imagine IT, and Peter Durand is a cybersecurity expert, and he's just gonna give us the rundown on things we need to be aware of, things we should look out for and know.
Thanks, Glenn. All right. What are we looking at here? The world is at war. It's not a typical war where there's blood in the streets, because if it were, this would be front page news everywhere. But cybersecurity is kind of behind the scenes a little bit, back page of the news. It's a big deal. There's hundreds of thousands of cyber criminals attacking us. There's other nation states that are attacking us, and we're attacking them. It's a big mess right now. It's going to get worse, and hopefully, some of the takeaways we take away today are going to help you protect your business and maybe your loved ones too. Let's get that out of the way. Okay, so we've all attended presentations. Be honest, how much do you actually take away that doesn't quickly get forgotten or never acted on? That is a problem I have tried to solve with this presentation. This presentation has many impactful and actionable takeaways for decision makers, but also takeaways for users, because we are all users. And to help make sure you act on them, there will be homework assignments for everyone that clearly detail your next steps. Now, I've combined two presentations into one due to time constraints. I have one presentation I do just to business decision makers, and another one just for the end users. But again, because all of us are users, I've combined the two a bit. And so you're gonna see a little bit of both. I call the other presentation Cybersecurity Starts With You. That's the one for the end users. So for the business decision maker takeaways, I just want to emphasize your org is at high risk. All of us are. Don't be low-hanging fruit. The bad guys are very strong. And if we can frustrate them and not be low-hanging fruit, they might go after somebody else. Executives own cybersecurity. Don't assume IT owns it. There are real consequences to having breaches that happen. You don't want to assume somebody else has it covered. And I'm going to teach you how to engage with IT leadership so you can find out exactly what you need to know to make sure that things are properly set up. And I have your homework assignment. Now, the user webinar that I do has a lot of topics. We're only going to do maybe half of them today, maybe a little bit less. But I still want you to see some of this because, again, all of us are users, and we have a separate homework assignment for users. A little bit about myself. I started an IT services company about 30 years ago. We've grown over the years. AssetHR is a client of ours. We provide cybersecurity services for AssetHR. We're Midwest based, have about 60 plus employees, a couple hundred clients in the Midwest. I personally consider myself a subject matter expert for cybersecurity because I spend almost all of my time doing it. I used to do a lot of other roles here. Now it's almost all cybersecurity. I follow thought leadership. I provide thought leadership to a lot of our peers and guide them and help them elevate their cybersecurity programs so they can better protect their clients. I also spend a lot of my time working with cyber insurance carriers, looking at applications and policies and help. I consider myself at this point a cyber insurance expert because I'm getting really good at identifying gaps in policies and where you want to have higher limits. You know, where are the areas that you're most likely to have an incident? And I perform frequent speaking engagements of this nature. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I'm a little bit more familiar with Teams than Zoom. If there's some other place you can put private messages in, do that if you want to engage. And we will provide the slide deck shortly thereafter. All right, let's talk about the dark web. All of us have heard of the dark web. We kind of know what it is a little bit. This part up here, the top of the iceberg, 4% of the internet is searchable by Google. Think about how large that is. Google search can find so much stuff, but it's only 4% of the internet. Most of the internet is behind, you know, password protected areas, behind businesses and government and other places. But look at this, the dark web, 6% is actually larger than the Google accessible internet. That just blows my mind. And what happens in the dark web? Cyber criminals use that to perform their illegal activities. They buy and sell stuff there. A lot of cyber criminals obtain access credentials for a particular site, and they sell it to other cyber criminals, or they sell the data, the confidential data for your clients. More importantly to me is they sell the hacker tradecraft. It used to be only a small group of hackers were capable to do very sophisticated hacking, but they've shared that tradecraft with each other, sold it, and now there's hundreds of thousands of hackers that have very advanced tradecraft. And they actually run it like a business. The larger, high mature entities have affiliate organizations that they teach how to do, say, ransomware. When the affiliate organization succeeds with a ransomware payment, they have to pay commission to the parent org. It's crazy. They run it like a business. All right, a little bit of history here. About 4 years ago, roughly, was really the tipping point. That was the time the cyber criminals really started sharing their tradecraft and expanded the number of cyber criminals exponentially. And there's so many of them now. Oftentimes, there's more cyber criminals than there are victims, and they fight over resources sometimes. And they attack everybody. Businesses, civilians, government, hospitals, schools, nonprofits, it doesn't matter. If you have a bank account or intellectual property, you are a target. Most victims are small orgs like us. Why? Because generally we don't have as strong as cybersecurity, don't have the budgets, but it's also the perception that we don't. So they attack us more. And none of us hardly ever make the news. You only hear about the big companies when they get breached. In about 3/4 of successful ransomware incidents, the hackers were able to destroy the backups. Now, I'll bet all of you feel like, well, our backups are good, right? How do you know your backups are good? Every time that happened, somebody thought their backups were not something that the bad guys could destroy. Billions of dollars each year are getting sucked out of our economy and used for really bad things. Depending on who the hacker is, it's either used to make stronger viruses, build bombs, whatever their goal is. The old standbys of antivirus, firewall, VPN, and more recently multi-factor authentication is not enough. There's at least 3 or 4 ways to get around multi-factor authentication. Our federal and state governments cannot protect you. They cannot protect themselves. They're in the news all the time of having breaches and incidents. It's really up to us to stop this. We are on the front lines, and that's the stuff we're going to talk about today. So a little update. A lot of the hackers in the world are from Russia and the Ukraine. And when they went to war, those hackers were kind of attacking each other. Well, they got back to attacking the West again. And so we're still under bombardment from a lot of the cyber criminals. Artificial intelligence is helping hackers make stronger viruses and improve their tradecraft and more quickly develop ways to attack us. Generative AI like ChatGPT and Copilot allow the hackers to write phishing emails with perfect grammar, perfect spelling. It's getting harder and harder for us to detect that something is phishing. Very important point here. The typical time from initial access, meaning from when a user makes a mistake and clicks a link, or maybe takes a phone call from someone pretending to be IT support, from that moment, it's about 1 hour to network takeover. How is it so fast? Because the bad guys all have the blueprint. They have the blueprint for how to attack Windows, Active Directory, Mac, iPhone, Android, Linux, everything. It's all out there. They've got it. And when they attack something, it's very quick for them to just, now, oh, it's Windows. Okay, I'm going to take this command, run this script, boom, boom, boom. And they're starting to take things over. Last year, the average ransomware insurance claim was $300,000. That's a lot of damage. It's a lot of stuff that needs to happen to make a $300,000 claim. And this is for small businesses of our size. Last year, there was a very critical breach. National Public Data, who does background checking services, they were breached. Their data was taken. So think about what the kind of stuff they had. Your current name, former names, maiden name, current address, former addresses, all phone numbers, your social security number, how much money you make. The bad guys have all of it. And in your homework assignment later, I'm going to teach you how to protect your identity since they have all that information out there. The FBI just came out with some recent data last year. Americans lost over $16 billion to online scams, and that's only what was reported. It's probably a much larger number. And the number keeps going up a lot every year. Now, per Cisco, who is a very large cybersecurity company, only 2% of American small business and government entities can defend and respond to modern threats. That means probably we're all in the 98%, right? None of us have a budget to get to that 2%. My goal is to get you maybe in the top 10, to make you not be this low-hanging fruit, to frustrate the attackers. Here's an example of that. Hackers are more advanced than the defenders. They're more advanced than Microsoft, Cisco, CrowdStrike, Google. There's too many of them, and there's too much coordinated stuff going on. They're very strong. Companies with strong cybersecurity, frankly, kind of steal the Titanic. If that iceberg really comes after us, it's going to be tough. But most orgs are the SS minnow. They have very weak cybersecurity. They're low-hanging fruit. They're easy targets. Our goal is to frustrate the attackers so that they go after other low-hanging fruit, so we're not the low-hanging fruit. There are moral issues at play when you are breached. You're funding cyber criminals. Nobody wants to do that. That drives me crazy. Or you're funding nation states like North Korea, Iran, and so on, and their programs that we don't want to help them. And if you pay a ransom, you're feeding the beast. You're encouraging them to attack other victims. We don't want to do that. We never want to pay a ransom. And as we all know, there's no honor among thieves. Early last year, the FBI took over the servers of the world's largest ransomware group called Lockbit. What did they find on those servers? All this data that was promised to be deleted when ransoms were paid. We don't want to pay ransoms. And I've got some other examples here of why you never want to pay ransom. Don't put yourself in a position that you have to pay. And when you're breached, you're exposing data that largely isn't yours. It's your staff's data, your client's data, right? It's somebody else's. We have an obligation to protect it. And when you're breached, you often expose people within your circles. We've all probably seen those emails come in. Somebody you know, you get an email, please click this link, kind of out of the blue. It's kind of suspicious, right? But because they maybe didn't take security seriously enough, it put you at risk, right? Again, we have an obligation to protect our systems. So here's a story about that, about somebody who didn't uphold their obligation. Mental health clinic in the Midwest. Think about what goes on at a mental health clinic. All right, they got attacked, all their systems got encrypted, and the bad guys downloaded all the patient data. Then they sent a ransom note to the clinic owner, said, please pay this ransom. Clinic owner said, no, we're not going to pay. So what did they do? They went after the patients, and all the patients got ransom notes saying, pay us this ransom or we're going to publish your doctor patient notes online. Right? Terrible. That's like the last thing you'd ever want posted online. There's no morals for these people. All they want to do is get our money. They don't care. All right, I'm going to do a 60-second video here. I just want to preface it a little bit. So Doug is a relatively new client of ours. Before they came aboard with us, they went through a ransomware event, and he has a little story to tell about what that was like kind of before and after. All right, let me bring that up. Here we go.
Hello, my name's Doug. I'm a CFO of a Midwest service company. Earlier this year, we had a ransomware event. Before it happened, we thought that since we're a small business, we weren't a target. We assumed those criminals only went after the big guys, and we thought our IT had it covered. We were wrong. The actual ransomware event and cleanup was a nightmare, much worse than we ever expected. Business interruption led to a financial hit. I can't tell you how many conference calls and Teams calls I was on for several months. Even after our users were back working, I'm still playing catch up. The organizational morale took a hit. We didn't even think about that aspect of it. After many discussions with many experts, my recommendation to you is not skimp on cybersecurity. Get engaged with a mature, secure, security-focused MSP. Make sure you have good secure backups, and invest in cyber insurance to help mitigate the risk. Stay safe out there.
All right, what were the common themes there? We thought we were too small. We thought IT had our back. They didn't know how to engage with IT. Then it happened, and it was just way worse than they thought. Way more time consuming, very distracting, company morale. It's been 18 months. Doug is still in meetings about this. There's still legal implications. So we don't want to go there as decision makers. We want to make the right decisions as users. We don't want to be the one that made the mistake that maybe kicked that off. Okay, and what are some of the things that can happen? I think we're kind of aware of this, right? Downtime, lost customers, recovery costs, lost revenue, maybe fines, depending upon if you're in a regulated industry. If you're a business owner or someone that cares about that, reduced EBITDA, that's a problem. Reduced business valuation. If you plan to sell your business in 5 years, clearly you don't want to have any major incidents happen because it's going to lower your valuation. Who owns cybersecurity? Is it IT? Nope. IT is just here to take directions from leadership, from the executives. We get how it works tactically, but someone has to guide us. It's up to executives, including as high as the CEO, needs to have some engagement level about cybersecurity to help guide us which direction. What are the things that can never be breached? You know, where are we most at risk? Get in some Q&A. Very, very important. Companies that have been victimized. What are some of the questions they ask? Why did we wait to prioritize our investment in cybersecurity? They ask that every time, guarantee it. Am I going to be held accountable? Are we going to get sued? Who might lose their jobs? Am I going to lose my job? Why isn't security and risk management a standing topic in our strategy meetings? We talk about revenue and profits and culture. Security is here to protect all of that. Security needs to be up on that same playing field of those kind of topics. And board level people and CEO people are potentially targets for lawsuits. They can come at you personally. There's plenty of information out there where this has happened. I only hear about the big ones. You know, that's all we ever hear about. But if you have an incident and you can't prove that you took some decent action and took security seriously, you could personally be liable. How does hacking work? All right, used to be back in the day, not that long ago, you get these mass spam emails, right? Somebody emails you, they need help, whatever it is. They'd send 1 million of it at once. We all became wise at it. It wasn't effective. So it's all targeted now. You know, they're going to target your entity. They're going to go to your website, figure out who to attack, maybe Dun & Bradstreet, the dark web. There's information out there, and they're going to figure out how they're going to attack. Trying to get through the firewall usually isn't very effective unless things are misconfigured. They're going to have much more success, as we know, through phishing emails, and it's targeted phishing. They're going to target you to impersonate somebody that maybe you trust. We have to assume at some point somebody's going to make a mistake. If you don't make that assumption, you're going to have a poor security strategy. It's going to happen. Someone's going to click a link. Someone's going to take a phone call. Something bad's going to happen. It's critical that you have things in place to detect and neutralize threats very quickly. Remember, I talked about that 1 hour window. We only have about an hour here from initial access till potentially full network takeover. It happens very quickly. And not very long after that, data starts being downloaded and maybe ransomware or encryption. We're going to talk a bit about that 1 hour window today, quite a bit. All right, so here's a little incident story. So we were onboarding a new client a few years ago. So we had our technicians on site. We're installing our monitoring software, our antivirus software. The users kept interrupting my technicians saying, hey, look at my computer here. I keep getting these pop-ups. It gets in my way. Can you please fix these pop-ups? And so we had to escalate that. It wasn't obvious at first. We had our security analyst look at it, and he was like, uh-oh, that's a keylogger. A keylogger is a type of virus that captures every keystroke on a computer. Every computer on that had the keylogger, and it was determined that it was from 4 to 6 months that this was going on. For 4 to 6 months, every user's privacy was violated, in the business too, for that matter. Credit card numbers, social security, whatever you type into the computer, they had it, right? Terrible. Everybody had to get identity theft protection. We pretty much had to wipe the whole network clean because we couldn't trust it. It turns out it was China that was doing it. It was a manufacturer. Why did China want that? They wanted the secret sauce. How do we make this product cheaper in China? If you're in manufacturing, it's possible China's already been it. They're very sophisticated. And over the last number of years, our defenses haven't been strong enough. Too much low-hanging fruit, basically. All right, we're going to touch on one of those user topics here real quick. We're not going to go too deep into it. Back in 2021, and this still pertains today, PC Magazine did a survey. The question was, do you use the same password for more than one service or site? About a quarter of the users said, yep, I use the same password for everything. Hopefully all of us by now know that's not a good idea. If your Pinterest account gets hacked, or all of Pinterest gets hacked, they've got your email address and your password. The bad guys are going to use that against your Gmail and your banking and whatever else, right? We must have different passwords everywhere. Another quarter of the users, I use the same password for most things. Not good. Another quarter, sometimes, and about another quarter, no. Now, keep in mind, PC Magazine's target audience is IT people. They probably have better password hygiene than most people. If I walk down Main Street and just randomly ask people this question, I'll bet 5% don't reuse passwords. It is a big problem. It's how incidents start. It's also how small incidents become big incidents, how it's easier to spread when you've got somebody's password on the network. And a lot of people use personal passwords, that reused password, for the network, right? Bad problem. Humans are wired to be terrible at security, and we are from birth. We're natively trust people. We're curious. We want to help. The bad guys know these things. They take advantage of our tendencies, and they social engineer us into doing things that end up giving them money. So this has happened to multiple clients of ours. Somebody pretending to be the CEO emails somebody with HR authority. How do they know who had HR authority? It probably was on the website. Said, hey, I'm doing this big thing, got this big deal. I need you to send me everybody's payroll information right now. It'd be a big help. Okay, the HR person didn't realize it wasn't the CEO, emailed everybody's payroll information. Staff's privacy was violated. What's in payroll information, right? Names, social security numbers, how much money you make. That's gold for the hackers. They can do a lot with that information to social engineer other people and get money. What is the number one thing I can do to not make one of those mistakes? In that previous example, the HR people were probably moving too fast. There were red flags in those email messages. They didn't see them. Slow down, especially now because of AI. It's getting harder and harder to tell that something is phishing. Secondly, and I added a second item here, please avoid clicking ads in search anywhere online. Search engines, Facebook, social media, more than half of all online ads are malicious. You click the ad, it could download a virus. You click the ad, it takes you to a place where somebody might try to social engineer you. And this is happening to millions and millions of people, and they're losing money. Now, I didn't say this so much at the beginning, but I have a lot of content, especially in the user-facing webinar, that I teach you how to be secure for your family. And we do cover some of that here today. Okay, now we're all afraid of ransomware. I'm afraid of ransomware. Ransomware incidents are very scary, a lot of downtime, a lot of stress. But it's not even close to where the most money is lost. Per the FBI, last year, over almost $3 billion was lost just to mailbox compromise. How could it be so much? Just my mailbox, right? When your mailbox gets compromised, bad guys can impersonate you to trick other people, and billions of dollars have been lost. Coalition is a large cyber insurance carrier. They say that last year, 60% of the claims were due to mailbox compromise, and what comes after is some kind of fund transfer fraud, right? Way more than ransomware. And the average claim for this type of incident is over $100,000. I would encourage all of you to have cyber insurance. If you don't, you definitely want to talk to somebody about that. And I'm an expert in that area, happy to help guide you in that direction. All right, so I got a few incidents here to share. So we had a client a few years back, small consulting company, not very big, maybe 10 users. The CEO's mailbox was breached. We're not sure how it happened. The bad guy then was watching the email for a while. It's what they do. They figure out who they're going to attack. They saw an email to the bank. They impersonated the CEO to the CEO's bank, convinced the bank to transfer nearly $500,000 out. They didn't have cyber insurance. For a company of that size, that was devastating, right? Big, big problem. What was the mistake? that the CEO made besides maybe not taking security seriously. In this case, it was the bank's fault, right? They didn't call to verify who it was. So here's a little bit more recent. There are a couple of them. Just back in April, the city of Portland was compromised. One of their vendors was actually compromised. My apologies. The vendor was compromised, not the city. Somebody pretending to be the vendor then interjected themselves into an email conversation and convinced the city of Portland to make future payments to this vendor up for $6 million to a cyber criminal that were intended for the vendor. Terrible. What was the mistake the city of Portland made? They didn't call the requester via a number they already have. All right. This would happen to a client of ours, and this has happened more than once. It happened to somebody else a couple months ago. Our client is emailing a supplier of theirs back and forth. Supplier gets compromised. Bad guys make a new internet domain one character off from the supplier. So our client isn't going to notice. They interject themselves into that email conversation, convince our client to change banking information for all future payments. Client lost $50,000, right? This is happening a lot. This is way easier than doing ransomware. This is why there's so much more money being lost here. And when you ever see a cyber insurance application, they have a big section now about how your finance team functions when you're dealing with banking changes and fund transfers and things like that. Here you go. This is a very important slide. Save this somewhere. I put some of the important stuff in red. When you are requested to change banking information for a customer, vendor, or employee, call via a number you already have. Don't call the number in the email. If you're requested to make a fund transfer, call. If you're requested to buy gift cards, a little bit out of scope of this, but I put it here because we've seen it happen so much. How do gift card scams work? Well, there's different types, but primarily what we've seen is somebody pretending to be, say, the CEO texts a lower employee, oftentimes a new employee, who wants to impress the CEO and says, hey, I'm doing this big thing. I'm in a big hurry. I need your help. Please go out and buy $1,000 of gift cards. When you get them, text me the codes on the back and I'll be ready to go. Well, you just basically gave the money to the attacker, right? So not good. Now this bottom section here is really for the finance department. We strongly encourage you to set up some kind of dual authorization with your bank. Think of the nuclear silo keys, right? You got to turn both keys at the same time. You need to get multiple pairs of eyes on things when you're changing banking information, doing fund transfers, things like that. It'll save billions in the US. All right, the FTC just came out with some new data. It's pretty interesting. So remember, we talked about ransomware, we talked about business email compromise. Actually, the biggest loser is investment scams. People just being social engineered into investing money somewhere. They get scammed out of it. A lot of it's crypto now. You know, there's a lot of crypto type of scams going on. Senior victims, almost $5 billion. Why seniors? Because they don't get the technology. They get confused by it easy. You know, they don't understand it. And they're a big target because bad guys know they're an easy target. And a lot of them have money. Imposter scams, a lot of money. People pretending to be government agencies. Tech support scams. Somebody calls and pretends to be tech support. I'm reading about this all the time. If you get a call from tech support and you're not entirely sure about it, feel free to get their name and number, hang up, call your MSP, call your IT support via number you already have, and ask for that person. It's okay. Romance scams, a lot of money. Employment scams, you're looking for a job. Somebody asks you, some recruiter type person asks for a little bit of money up front to get it. A lot of money is being lost there. Tech scams, this is going to become a much, much bigger number over time because defenders like myself can't really protect cell phones very well or at all. So it's really up to the user. We have a slide in here all about cell phone usage. And again, a lot of it goes unreported. Now, this little green area over here, remember I talked about seniors? They're about 25% of all incidents. Young people, almost half. Why young people? Because they're trusting. They haven't been burned yet. I've got lots of nieces and nephews, and I have had lots of times where I've had to help them dig out of a mess where their identity is getting messed with. And aunts and uncles and we'll say the elderly, the vulnerable. All right, here's the cell phone slide. And again, in our user-facing training, I've got a lot of other slides. I just don't have them here. They're hidden. Okay, on your cell phone, A lot of stuff happens with email, right? All this phishing is coming in with email. It's much harder to detect phishing on your cell phone. The red flags are much harder to detect. So if you get an email, you're like, I'm not sure about that one. Wait till you get back to a computer so you can really look at it more closely. Smishing or text phishing, users are 8 times more likely to fall for that. It's just tougher. Plus, there's no security protections on the cell phone. Look at this message right here. Somebody wants me to tap H2S. I don't know where that goes. It's not a website address. It's, AssetHR.com. I trust that. I know where that goes. I can't tell where that little link is going to go. I don't trust it. I encourage you never to click links in text messages. So, I may have just gone to Home Depot and bought a thing. An hour later, I get a text message survey. I don't want to tap it. I just don't trust it. I don't have that kind of protection on my cell phone that I have on my computer. Never provide MFA codes to a caller. Remember I said there's many ways bad guys get around multi-factor authentication. Here's this one. Hey, this is John at Amazon, badge number 7845, calling on a recorded line. We just noticed some malicious activity on your account. I'd like to help you out with that. You're about to get a text message with a 6-digit code. Once you get it, please give me that code and I will take care of this for you. How many people would fall for that? A lot of people. Never give MFA codes to a caller. Now, at that point, somebody had your password. That's why they're calling. They have your password. They just need you to hand over the MFA. QR codes. This funny looking thing right here. I don't know where that goes. I don't want to tap that or take a picture of that. I have no idea. Again, it's not a web address like AssetHR.com. Be extremely suspicious of QR codes that come via email. It's one way the attackers are trying to get around email security. The email security is a little lagging behind there. I'd be very cautious of that. Be cautious of QR codes that come via postal mail. Bad guys are making so much money off of that scam, they're paying postage. They're getting their money back over and over and over because people are taking a picture of a QR code and something that came in the mail. It takes them to some place where they're going to get scammed. They don't realize it. And ones that are publicly exposed. Ones that are publicly exposed, oftentimes bad guys are taping their malicious QR code over the legitimate one. Maybe you're outside a restaurant on Main Street, take a picture of a QR code to get on our loyalty club or see our menu. I'd be nervous. Or you're trying to pay for parking somewhere, parking ramp, parking meters. Try to find some other way to pay than snapping a picture of a QR code if you can. What should I do if I think I made a mistake, and should I be worried about management yelling at me? Well, don't ever worry about management yelling at you. I just tell people, if you raise remember we only have an hour, right? If you raise your hand early in the attack chain, right away when you think it happens, us as defenders can help kick out the bad guys. If you see something, say something. This is that 1 hour window thing again, regardless of how minor it is. Here are the real common types of security incidents. You allow remote access to somebody and you suddenly feel a little weird about it. I've gotten this call many times. If you can, click the X, kick the person out, or just shut off your computer if you can't figure out how to kick them out. Call IT right away. You're getting weird pop-ups all of a sudden. Big red flag. You probably have some kind of a virus. Something's going on. Password issues. Suddenly you can't log into places you used to be able to log into. Somebody probably took over the account, changed the password. Now you can't get in. You need somebody to help you get back in to kick them out. Email banner warnings. Depends on what kind of email security you have. Hopefully you get some kind of a banner at the top of the message that gives you a little bit of a warning. Be suspicious. This is a brand new domain, or be suspicious, whatever reason. If the email thing is telling you to be suspicious, please be suspicious, right? Maybe call the sender. Just be very, very careful. Weird emails are coming from you, right? People, are saying, hey, I'm getting these weird emails from you. That probably means you were compromised. You probably feel like crap about that. So we need to fix that. IT needs to go get into your account, kick out the bad guy, get you back into it. Payment problems. I gave you many examples of that, right? Somebody thought they were paying a vendor. They were really paying a cyber criminal. Something has been compromised, or banking information has been changed to someplace that you didn't want it to be. All right. Thinking about that thing again in the hour and why it's so critical that you speak up if you see something, because these are a very short period of time. You need something in place. Your IT leadership needs to have something in place to detect and neutralize very quickly. The average security operations center is about 16 hours from detection and neutralization. That's way too slow. way too slow, right? Must be very fast. You want to work with an IT system or a managed service provider that can do it in less than 15 minutes, all right? That is absolutely critical. Here's a story, one of our clients, all right? So we get this a lot. I'm on the notification chain, so 3 to 4 times a week, I'm getting something on my cell phone saying there's an incident, an isolation incident where something's happening. Either a computer had something detected, it had to be isolated quickly before it spread, or something in, say, Microsoft 365 was compromised, had to lock out that user really quickly. In this case, it was a computer. So user clicked a link, bad things started happening. Within 10 minutes, the computer, it was detected, computer was isolated before it could spread across the network. We work with the IT person there. We decided, because we don't really know for sure what happened, just wipe the computer, format it just to be safe. Okay, we're all good, moved on with our lives. 10 days later, the FBI called our client and said, hey, we noticed 10 days ago some activity coming from your network to this mothership we're monitoring. Usually by now ransomware is planted. Is everything okay? Yep, everything's fine. Thanks for calling. Why didn't you call 10 days ago? Yeah, so had this org not have that kind of system in place, they would have been a victim of ransomware. Very critical. Now, when you deal with cyber insurance carriers and applications, they're going to ask about 24/7 Security Operations Center and EDR, the kind of software that is used to do this. Very important. Without EDR and 24/7 eyes on glass, that's a ransomware event right there. So how do you engage with IT leadership? You have to come armed with a few questions. Where are we most at risk? Tell me, from your opinion, IT person, where are we most at risk? Is it this data, this system? What is it? Have we had a security risk assessment? Can you show me an executive summary of what that looks like? Does a third party perform an annual penetration test? Can you show me an executive summary of that? I'm not techie, but at least help me understand, walk me through it. Is our backup system immutable? Remember I said in 3/4 of successful ransomware incidents, bad guys were able to destroy the backups, right? So immutable means they can't destroy the backups. Can we neutralize critical security alerts 24/7? I just gave you examples of why that's so critical. Show me that. Show me a report. Show me something. Again, a lot of this is it's Q&A and asking for proof. What are our cyber insurance gaps? Like, CEO isn't going to look at the cyber insurance application. He's trusting somebody else to fill that out correctly. I think I want to know what our gaps are, and maybe what you decided as the person filling it out, decided was acceptable. Like, why aren't we paying a little bit to remediate that? Why did we choose not to do that? How fast can we mitigate the effects of a severe attack and get back to normal operations? That's a hard question to answer. That takes a little bit of work for somebody actually to come back and present that back to executives, how we handle that. Because that's, you need really good incident response planning, some rehearsals. It's not an easy thing, but somebody needs to come up with an answer, because the answer is a week. That can be devastating to the company. So there are benefits from a org to have a strong security posture. There's a benefit of a competitive advantage. We've had customers that have a strong security posture. They were able to win the clients over of one of their competitors that had a bad breach. All right, strong security won. Another one, this one I told you the story about where China went after the manufacturer and had the keylogger. They were obviously in a very bad shape right now, but eventually they upped their security posture. They were acquired by private equity, got a nice number that they liked. They're still a client of ours. We have another client, still a client, that was not on a strong security program. They tried to get the business of a very large enterprise account. Enterprise businesses want you to have, think about Target, right? That Target incident many years ago happened because of one of their suppliers, or one of the subcontractors was breached, allowing it into Target kind of through a back door. Target, for example, will be they're going to put you under a microscope if you want to have any kind of tie into their systems. So our client was not able to get that business. However, they elevated their security posture and were able to get another large enterprise client, and it increases your business valuation. Or conversely, if you have a big breach, it can hurt your business valuation. All right, we're to the homework part. So because we are all users, here's some homework for you. I left a little bit out of it for my full user training because I didn't show you all the information there. But what I encourage you to do, and again, we're going to provide the slide deck after, is you're going to watch a 15 minutes of password hygiene training. It's really good stuff. You go to this link, type in this password, really good videos, very entertaining and educational. If you aren't currently using a password manager, and that's going to be part of this training, you need to get one, right? We need to be using, not reusing passwords. A password manager helps you make unique passwords for everything that you don't have to remember. You only have to remember a few passwords, your computer password, your email password, your Wi-Fi password, your password manager password. That's about it. You make those long. Then, once you got that, you log into every one of your online sites and you redo all your passwords. If you've already done this, great, awesome. But if you have a lot of passwords you were using, or if your passwords are really similar and follow a theme, which some people do, it's not good. They all need to be wildly unique passwords. Log into all those sites, change those passwords, make sure MFA is enabled. Bonus, if you can tie MFA to an authenticator app like Microsoft Authenticator, Google Authenticator, that's better than text messaging MFA because bad guys can trick your cell phone carrier into giving them your cell phone number. This is happening a lot. Now, lastly, remember I talked about all of our identity information is out there, right? You want to protect yourself, freeze your credit at the 3 credit bureaus. Here's a link that tells you how to do that. For those of you that don't quite understand that, what that means is anytime somebody wants to open an account in your name and social security number, they won't be able to. The creditor won't be able to run your credit. So they can't do it. Let's say you're doing something legit. You're at the car dealership. You're going to buy a car. Oh, hold on a second. I can't run your credit. Can you please unfreeze your credit? Ask them which one. Is it TransUnion, Equifax, whoever it is. And then you log into that account, temporarily unfreeze for 24 hours. They can run your credit. It'll automatically refreeze after. That last bullet point alone, millions and millions of dollars and a lot of stress and headache avoided for American people. All right, homework for decision makers. First off, I would encourage you to reach out for me to guidance. Reach out for me, to me. I want to help your org elevate its cybersecurity posture. It's my mission in life at this point, to help protect people from cyber threats. And by doing so, I can expand that mission. When we meet, I will review 2 important decision maker documents. The first one's called the 7 Stages of C-Suite Cybersecurity Denial. It's an article I wrote, and I'm willing to bet most attendee orgs are in denial in at least one of those categories, and that's all it takes to become a victim. I will help you. Secondly, remember those questions I was talking about, how to engage with IT leadership? I wrote an article about that. The 5 critical cybersecurity questions. It's actually 10, just 10 wasn't very good for the name of the article. And in that article, and when we review it, we can talk about, here's the questions, here's the follow-up questions so you can dig deeper, and the type of proof to ask for. You must get proof. You might have known your IT people for a long time and you trust them, maybe love them, but you still have to do this. You have an obligation to protect the data. Also, I'd be very happy to do a cybersecurity training webinar for your team. Just the user-facing portion where we really go deep into helping them make better decisions to protect the business and also their families. Okay, I think we're done. So, parting thoughts. Again, we're going to provide the slide deck. Please share it with your loved ones. There's the parts in there, especially about the scamming parts that may affect them, will be helpful. At some point, all of you learned to manage money, right? Isn't that a basic skill? In 2025 and beyond, all of you need to learn to be cyber secure and keep up on it because no one is going to do this for you. You don't need to become a cybersecurity expert, but you do need to do the basic things really well. And as a decision maker, you need to know how to effectively engage with IT leadership. Feel free to engage with me directly. There's my information, or you can just reach out to Chris or Gwen or AJ. That's it.